Let's read Leviticus chapter 1. And the Lord called unto Moses, and spake unto him out of the tabernacle of the congregation, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, If any man of you bring an offering unto the Lord, you shall bring your offering of the cattle, even of the herd, and of the flock. If his offering be a burnt sacrifice of the herd, let him be a male without blemish. He shall offer it of his own voluntary will at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord. And he shall put his hand upon the head of the burnt offering, and it shall be accepted for him to make atonement for him. And he shall kill the bullock before the Lord, and the priests, Aaron's sons, shall bring the blood and sprinkle the blood round about upon the altar that is by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And he shall flay the burnt offering and cut it into his pieces. And the sons of Aaron, the priest, shall put the fire upon the altar and lay the wood in order upon the fire. And the priests, Aaron's sons, shall lay the parts, the head, and the fat in order upon the wood that is on the fire which is upon the altar. But his inwards and his legs shall he wash with water, and the priest shall burn all on the altar to be a burnt sacrifice, an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto the Lord. And if his offering be of the flocks, namely of the sheep or of the goats, be a burnt sacrifice, he shall bring it a male without blemish. And he shall kill it on the side of the altar northward before the Lord, and the priests, Aaron's sons, shall sprinkle his blood round about upon the altar, and he shall cut it into his pieces with his head and his fat, and the priest shall lay them in order on the wood that is on the fire which is upon the altar. But he shall wash the inwards and the legs with water, and the priest shall bring it all and burn it upon the altar, and it is a burnt sacrifice, an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto the Lord. Notice in chapter 13, it says, wash the inwards and the legs, and also, let's see, okay, sorry, hang on. Okay, verse 9, but his inwards and his legs shall be washed in water. At verse 13, but he shall wash the inwards and the legs with water. Why do you think that is? Oh yeah, it's because the animal pees on himself and poops on himself, and the animal doesn't have toilet paper, so the poop just runs off his legs. So yeah, wash the inwards and the legs with water. Let's go on to let's start from verse 13 all over again. But he shall wash the inwards and the legs with water, and the priest shall bring it all and burn it upon the altar. It is a burnt sacrifice, an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto the Lord. If the burnt sacrifice for his offering to the Lord be of fowls, then he shall bring his offering of turtle doves or of young pigeons. And the priest shall bring it unto the altar, and wring off his head, and burn it on the altar, and the blood thereof shall be wrung out at the side of the altar. Let's think, because when you go further into the Bible, you shouldn't eat meat when there's still blood on it, when there's still blood running around it, you know. And verse 14, it's kind of funny how it says pigeons, because pigeons nowadays are, they're probably like the dirtiest birds in the street, but over in the Middle East, there's less dirty streets and sewers running around, so pigeons are cleaner, but also it's about 2,000 years ago, so Pigeons weren't dirty back then. Let's go on to verse 16. And he shall pluck away his crop with his feathers and cast it beside the altar on the east part by the place of the ashes. Cast the feathers aside, beside the altar, on the east part by the place of the ashes. Okay. Verse 17, and he shall cleave it with the wings thereof, but shall not divide it asunder, and the priest shall burn it upon the altar upon the wood that is upon the fire. It is a burnt sacrifice, an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto the Lord. Savor means salty, Okay. Let's see where it says. Okay. Verse 5. Sorry. I read all the way up to the end of verse 17, and that was the end of chapter 1. But let me go over verse 5. And he shall, this one was in one of the previous chapters in Deuteronomy, probably a couple of previous chapters in Deuteronomy. And he shall kill the bullock before the Lord, and the priests, Aaron's sons, shall bring the blood and sprinkle the blood round about upon the altar that is by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. I'm not sure where they said it exactly, where to sprinkle the blood in Deuteronomy, but it said sprinkle the blood. And that was this is they said that before in Deuteronomy. Not Deuteronomy, I'm sorry, it's Exodus. They said that before in Exodus. And it was a few chapters and some verses. Yeah. And that's basically what I read for tonight. I will read the second chapter some other time. Thank you very much for chiming in, and have a good night.